Every single morning, millions of Americans over 60 pour a cup of coffee and drink it exactly the same way they have for 30 years, and have no idea that one small addition to that cup could change what happens inside their body at the cellular level for the rest of the day. A 2023 study published in Frontiers in Aging found that a specific compound found in a common kitchen ingredient activates dormant mesenchymal stem cells, the repair cells responsible for fat metabolism and tissue regeneration, at a rate up to 1,000% faster than baseline in adults over 60. 1,000%. And not a single mainstream physician is talking about it at the patient level. By the end of this video, I'm going to show you exactly what to add to your morning coffee, why it works, and the specific way to do it that most people get completely wrong. Stay with me, because this one is different. Dr. Sylvia Moreau had a specific frustration she couldn't let go of. Patient after patient came in carrying stubborn fat around the midsection, not the kind that responds to diet changes or light exercise, but the kind that seems locked in place regardless of what they do. She kept seeing the same profile: healthy habits, reasonable diet, and a metabolism that had simply stopped cooperating somewhere after their late 50s. Dr. Moreau is a regenerative medicine specialist based in Raleigh, North Carolina, with 19 years of clinical experience working specifically with adults in the 55 to 75 age range. She has spent the last several years studying the intersection of stem cell biology and everyday nutrition. She is sharing this because, in her words, the gap between what the research shows and what patients are actually told has become impossible to ignore. Here is something I genuinely want to know, and I'm asking because it actually changes the answer for your situation. Do you drink your morning coffee black, with cream, with sugar, or some combination? Drop it in the comments right now, because what you currently add to your coffee determines exactly how effective this protocol will be for you. Here is what is happening inside your body right now, and why it matters more after 60 than at any other point in your life. Your body contains a population of cells called mesenchymal stem cells. Think of them as your internal repair crew. In your 20s and 30s, they are highly active, rebuilding tissue, regulating fat storage, keeping inflammation in check. By the time most people reach their early 60s, research shows this stem cell population has not disappeared. It has gone dormant. The cells are still there. They are simply waiting for a signal that, in most aging bodies, never arrives. The reason that signal weakens after 60 comes down to a process called cellular senescence, the biological state in which aging cells stop dividing and begin releasing a cocktail of inflammatory proteins instead of repair signals. These senescent cells accumulate faster after 60 because the immune system loses some of its ability to clear them. The result is a chronic low-grade inflammatory environment that keeps stem cells suppressed and fat cells locked in storage mode. What mainstream medicine has understood in laboratory settings for years, but failed to translate into patient conversations, is that specific plant-derived compounds can pierce through that inflammatory environment and reactivate dormant stem cells directly. The mechanism exists. The research exists. What has been missing is the practical delivery method that fits into a normal daily routine. That is what this video is about. Here are 5 ingredients you can add to your morning coffee, starting tomorrow. We are going from the least surprising to the most powerful, so pay close attention as we move down the list, because the last 2 are where most people leave significant results on the table. Number 1. Cinnamon. Most people think of cinnamon as a flavor. What it actually contains is a compound called cinnamaldehyde, which research has shown to directly inhibit the inflammatory proteins that keep mesenchymal stem cells suppressed. It is the most accessible entry point into this protocol, and the one with the longest research history. A study published in the Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that daily cinnamon supplementation reduced circulating inflammatory markers by 24% in adults over 60 after just 8 weeks. Lower inflammation means a more permissive environment for stem cell reactivation, and that means the fat metabolism process that has been stalled can begin to restart. Add a 1/4 teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon, not cassia, which is the common grocery store variety, directly to your coffee grounds before brewing. It dissolves into the coffee and changes the flavor profile only slightly. This takes about 15 seconds. Number 2. Raw cacao powder. This one surprises people because most associate chocolate with sugar and weight gain. Raw cacao, unsweetened, unprocessed, is one of the most concentrated dietary sources of a compound called epicectin, a flavonoid that has been shown to stimulate the proliferation of stem cell populations in adipose, which means fat tissue. A paper in the journal Nutrients found that epicectin supplementation increased stem cell activity markers in sedentary adults over 65 by 31% over a 12-week period. The key word is raw. Processed cocoa and commercial chocolate have most of this compound destroyed in manufacturing. Add 1 teaspoon of raw cacao powder to your coffee. It blends well with cinnamon and gives the coffee a slightly deeper, richer flavor without added sugar. Barbara Okonkwo, a 67-year-old retired pediatric nurse from Des Moines, Iowa, had carried the same 22 pounds around her midsection for 11 years. She had tried caloric restriction, walking programs, and 2 different metabolism supplements recommended by her primary care physician. Nothing moved. When she added raw cacao and cinnamon to her morning coffee and made no other changes, she noticed within 3 weeks that her waistband felt different. Not dramatically, but measurably. By week 10, she had lost 9 pounds of abdominal fat, confirmed at her next appointment. I've been a nurse for 34 years. I was deeply skeptical of anything that sounded this simple. But the numbers don't lie, and neither does my mirror. Number 3. Lion's mane mushroom powder. This is where the conversation shifts from familiar to genuinely surprising. Lion's mane is a medicinal mushroom with an active compound called heracinone, which has been identified as a potent activator of nerve growth factor, a protein that plays a direct role in stem cell differentiation and the regulation of metabolic rate in aging tissue. A study published in Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience found that daily lion's mane supplementation in adults over 60 produced measurable improvements in metabolic markers and cognitive function over a 16-week period. The connection between metabolic rate and neural signaling is more direct than most people realize. Stem cells in fat tissue receive signals through the same nerve pathway that heracinone helps restore. Add half a teaspoon of lion's mane powder to your coffee. It has a mild, slightly earthy flavor that blends well with the cacao and cinnamon already in the cup. Now, before I get to number 4, I have to warn you about something that almost everyone gets wrong at exactly this stage of the protocol. What I am about to describe is the single reason why people add all the right ingredients and still see nothing happen. Do not skip this. Number 4. Black pepper, specifically its active compound, piperine. This seems almost too simple, and that is precisely why it gets ignored. Every compound we have discussed so far, cinnamaldehyde, epicatin, heracinone, shares one problem: low bioavailability. That means your digestive system absorbs only a fraction of what you consume before the rest is eliminated. Piperine, the active compound in black pepper, inhibits the liver enzymes responsible for breaking down these compounds before they reach your bloodstream. A landmark study in the journal Planta Medica found that piperine increased the bioavailability of curcumin, a compound with a similar absorption profile to the ones in this protocol, by 2,000%. 2000. Without piperine, you may be absorbing as little as 3 to 5% of the active compounds in your coffee additions. With it, you absorb the majority. Add a single small pinch, no more than 1/8 of a teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper to your coffee mixture. You will not taste it, but it will transform every other ingredient in the cup. If this information should reach someone who needs it, please hit the like button. It takes 1 second, and it is the only mechanism that puts this video in front of the right people. Number 5. Turmeric with a fat carrier. Curcumin, the active compound in turmeric, is the most extensively researched plant compound in relation to stem cell activation and visceral fat reduction. A meta-analysis published in JAMA Network Open found that curcumin supplementation produced a statistically significant reduction in visceral adipose tissue, the deep abdominal fat most strongly associated with cardiovascular risk, across 14 randomized controlled trials. The catch is that curcumin is fat-soluble. Without a fat carrier, it passes through the digestive system almost entirely unused. This is why the protocol requires adding turmeric alongside a small amount of coconut oil or grass-fed butter. Not creamer, not milk, but a true fat source. Add a 1/4 teaspoon of high-quality turmeric powder and 1 teaspoon of coconut oil or grass-fed butter to your coffee. Blend or stir vigorously for 30 seconds. The piperine from the black pepper you already added will amplify absorption dramatically. Raymond Castillo, a 71-year-old retired mechanical engineer from Albuquerque, New Mexico, had a deeply practical personality. He told Dr. Moreau he would need to see measurable results within 30 days or he would abandon the protocol entirely. He started the full 5-ingredient coffee combination on a Monday morning. By day 18, he reported to Dr. Moreau that his fasting blood glucose had dropped 7 points and that his belt had moved 1 notch tighter. By day 30, he had lost 4.5 pounds of measured body fat. I spent 40 years solving engineering problems. The solution to this one was sitting in my kitchen cabinet the whole time. That bothers me a little, honestly. Here is the complete morning protocol. It takes under 4 minutes and requires no new equipment. Brew your coffee as normal. While it is still hot, add a 1/4 teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of raw cacao powder, half a teaspoon of lion's mane mushroom powder, 1 pinch of freshly ground black pepper, a 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric, and 1 teaspoon of coconut oil or grass-fed butter. Stir or briefly blend for 30 seconds until the oil is fully incorporated. Drink it within 15 minutes of preparation. The active compounds begin to degrade once the temperature drops below a certain threshold. In 3 days, Most people notice their coffee has a noticeably richer, more complex flavor, and they feel more sustained energy through the mid-morning hours without the usual drop. In 1 week, early metabolic shifts begin. Some people report reduced cravings for midday snacks, which is a direct signal of improved blood sugar regulation. In 1 month, measurable changes in abdominal circumference are common for people who maintain the protocol consistently. The one mistake to avoid: do not add sugar or flavored creamers to this coffee. Both suppress the stem cell activation pathway almost immediately by spiking insulin, which triggers a hormonal cascade that pushes fat cells back into storage mode. If you need sweetness, a small amount of raw honey added after the coffee cools slightly is the only addition that does not interfere with the protocol. The last patient I want to tell you about is Dorothy Sung, a 69-year-old retired federal auditor from Richmond, Virginia. Dorothy was meticulous, data-driven, and openly dismissive when Dr. Moreau described the protocol. She told her she had heard too many supplement claims in her life to be impressed by a coffee additive. She started the protocol anyway. Partly, she admitted, to prove it would not work. She kept a daily log. She recorded her weight, her waist measurement, and her energy level every morning for 6 weeks. At the 6-week mark, she had lost 7 pounds. Her waist had decreased by 2 inches, and her logged energy levels had increased from an average of 4 out of 10 to 7 out of 10. I wanted to disprove this. I documented everything specifically so I could come back and say the data showed nothing. The data showed something. I don't enjoy being wrong, but I can respect the result. That was not luck. That was Dorothy finally giving her dormant stem cells the precise chemical environment they had been waiting for all along. Here is your 30-day challenge. Tomorrow morning, make this coffee. Do it every single day for 30 days without changing anything else about your routine. Measure your waist on day 1. Measure it again on day 30. Let the results speak for itself. If you know someone who has been struggling with stubborn abdominal fat despite doing everything right, someone who drinks coffee every morning and has no idea this option exists, send them this video. That is the person this was made for. Your body's repair systems do not shut down after 60. They wait. Subscribe for more of what they have been waiting for.